Hey guys, JamesMCD Reviews here. Welcome to another episode of the Cinematic Bucket List series, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Jurassic World movies. We've got the third one coming out this week, Jurassic World Dominion, so figured it was appropriate to take a look back at the first two and see how they stack up with the originals. This is actually part two of a little CBL special that I've got going on. If you haven't checked out part one, where I take a look at the original Jurassic Park trilogy, I would highly recommend checking that out. But for right now, let's get into this. So the first Jurassic World movie came out in 2015. This was 22 years, I believe, after the original Jurassic Park, and a little over 14 years after Jurassic Park 3. Expectations were kind of all over the place. Like, the last time they did a Jurassic Park sequel, it wasn't very good. They clearly didn't care with what they were doing. But now, you know, they've got new technology, and this one is retconning the other two sequels, and the park is actually open in this one, as opposed to it just being ruins or a prototype like in the originals. So there's a lot of different possibilities and a lot of different ways that you can go. In terms of like sequels to the original, this is the second best since the original. There are still a lot of problems with it, but there are still some things that it does well. First of all, the park itself looks really awesome. Like, taking aside the, you know, giant horrifying creatures that will eat you, this looks like a place that you would want to go, like, for a vacation, for a holiday. Like, the attention to detail that they put into this park, it looks really cool and really fun looking. And I also really like, you know, the commentary that comes along with the movie of like, oh, the kids nowadays, they aren't impressed by just dinosaurs anymore, so we had to, you know, genetically enhance and create a new type of dinosaur and shit like that. And because of that, because of the fact that you're working with, you know, genetically altering and creating new dinosaurs, it actually doesn't really bother me that the dinosaurs kind of looked like terrible. Like they weren't as bad as something like 2, but they're pretty, like, they look pretty cartoony. Like, when you compare it to the original that used, like, good-looking animatronics, and this one claims they used animatronics, but I'm willing to bet that they just CG'd over them because they didn't look real enough. It honestly kind of works in its favor that it's playing with, you know, genetic modifications of these dinosaurs to why they look the way that they do. And to their credit, for dinosaurs that look this cartoonish, they do have them do some really cool things. Like, the pterodactyl scene towards the middle of the movie was a lot of fun. It was way too short, but it was a lot of fun. The final 20 minutes is one of the coolest things that I've seen in a Jurassic Park movie. Like, when the motherfucking T-Rex is going up against the genetic hybrid shit-your-pantsosaurus, it's like, it's really cool and really exciting, and I was just sitting there watching with my mouth open like, why the hell is this so cool? But it does fall into the same traps that the other Jurassic Park sequels had, where it does rehash a lot of things. Like, it's, you know, they end up walking through the jungle and hunting dinosaurs again, and, you know, it's this flawed science that we keep seeing in these fucking movies where the people involved never learn their fucking lesson. And I mean, like, in the original Jurassic Park, it at least felt like the scientists were qualified and knew what they were doing. Like, they had an idea of, like, how to run this park, and then Wayne Knight went behind their back and did some shady shit and then got everybody killed. But they at least felt like they knew what they were doing and had a plan. These guys have no clue what they're doing and should not be running this fucking park and having all these people, you know, almost get eaten and shit. The characters as well are pretty, like, cut and paste. Like, they're not awful, and the actors are fine. I really like Chris Pratt. You know, Chris Pratt is great in pretty much anything that he's done so far. But, you know, they're not the most interesting characters. Like, him and Bryce Dallas Howard don't really have that great of a connection. You don't really care about, you know, their will they, won't they romance and shit like that. You don't really care about these kids and their divorced parents and shit like that. They're kind of just there as, like, you know, obligatory plot devices, basically. But I mean, beyond that, I still enjoyed watching Jurassic World. It's not perfect by any means, and it still doesn't come close to the original, but it had a lot of really fun moments in it, enough to say it's worth watching at least once. So I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5. Next up, oh boy, we've got Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the sequel that came out in 2018. This is such a hot mess of a movie. I'm sorry. This was hilariously awful. This is kind of a weird one to judge because, like, it's got just as many, if not more, problems and inconsistencies as 2, but I would rather watch this one than 2. Like, it was just that insane and batshit and just weird that I would rather rewatch this than Jurassic Park 2, or even Jurassic Park 3. And I didn't even hate Jurassic Park 3 all that much, but I would rather put this on just to experience the what the fuckness of it. Everything is basically retconned from the original. Like, Bryce Dallas Howard's character, who was, you know, the cold, analytical, like, park runner who only saw these dinosaurs as numbers on a spreadsheet before, and has also seen them, you know, murder several people and attempt to murder her own, like, kids who don't even show up in this movie. She's now this, you know, pro-dinosaur animal rights activist, and she's dragging Chris Pratt along on this mission to get these dinosaurs off of the island before the volcano erupts and shit like that, which that comes right the fuck out of nowhere. Them two are split up again because, like, they walked out on each other, but of course that ends up going nowhere and they get back together anyway. The villains are even, like, more stock than, like, the villain in World. Like, at least Vincent D'Onofrio in the first World movie was funny to watch. These guys are just completely stock and stale. But honestly, I think by the midway point, the movie doesn't even care anymore. Like, as soon as the evil business guy said to the little girl, "You are actually a clone of your grandpa's daughter," because he wanted to bring his daughter back to life, that was the moment where I was like, okay, this movie, like, all bets are off. What have you got going? Like, I was fully expecting the girl to, like, rip open her face and for her to become, like, transform into a dinosaur. Like, that's how weird this movie gets. Oh my god, this is one of those movies that crosses over into that so bad it's good realm that I respect the hell out of, but Jesus Christ. This one was a hard one to rank because, like, it's just as bad as, like, 2 and 3, but it's still so entertaining to watch to where I would recommend checking it out. So ranking this one, I would probably have to give it a 2.5 out of 5, but with the notion that you should absolutely watch it, get some friends, get some drinks, and just have a ball with how weird this movie gets. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Jurassic World movies. Let me know down in the comments what are your thoughts on them, if you've seen them, and how do they stack up to the originals. Stay tuned for my quick review of Jurassic World Dominion coming this Saturday or Sunday, whenever I get around to uploading it. But until then, be sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you can stay up to date on when I'm posting. Follow me on all my social media, subscribe to my main channel. Everything you need to know will be in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.